The winter storm that has been building all week is now arriving, and the latest data confirms this system is far more severe than earlier projections suggested. We are now looking at a sprawling corridor of significant winter weather, with more than 1 inch of ice possible in some areas and snowfall totals reaching up to 2 feet. Well over 150 million people are now directly within the impact zone. What makes this storm especially dangerous isn't just its size, but the duration and overlap of hazards. From Texas through the southeast and toward the east coast, snow and ice will combine in ways that create prolonged travel disruptions, power outages, and infrastructure stress. Updated model guidance shows substantially higher totals of both snow and ice, triggering emergency declarations across multiple states, including Texas, Arkansas, Missouri, Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and Virginia. Additional states are expected to follow as the system expands. At the same time, an unusually intense polar surge is diving southward. Temperatures are forecast to plunge dramatically, with readings dropping toward 30 degrees below zero in the northern plains and wind chills approaching 60 below zero in the coming days. This extreme cold will eventually push farther south, allowing winter precipitation to linger and making repairs to damaged power lines and roadways increasingly difficult. In today's forecast, we're breaking down exactly how this major winter storm is expected to unfold as it begins impacting the United States. There is a lot to cover, including growing confidence in widespread snowfall totals of 1 to 2 feet in some regions, along with a potentially crippling ice storm. We'll start with the near-term evolution. This afternoon marks the rapid intensification phase of the system. Freezing rain and snow will expand across western Oklahoma, the Texas Panhandle, and portions of Kansas. As the afternoon progresses, coverage will increase quickly toward Oklahoma City and Tulsa, with icy conditions developing on untreated roads. School closures are already underway in parts of Oklahoma due to the ice threat, and conditions are expected to deteriorate further through the evening. While initial precipitation may appear light, even minor icing will create extremely hazardous travel conditions. Heavier snow bands will focus across the Texas Panhandle and into Kansas, but by late tonight, the storm will grow significantly in size. Freezing rain will stretch from areas near Fort Worth through parts of Arkansas, while heavy snow continues north and west, including regions near Tulsa, northwest Arkansas, and Amarillo. Lighter snow will extend farther north into Kansas, including areas near Kansas City. Between these zones, sleet will mix in, particularly around central Oklahoma late tonight. As we move into the overnight period and early Saturday morning, the core of this system shifts eastward into the Mississippi Valley. This is when impacts begin ramping up in Tennessee and Kentucky. For those areas, today remains the final window for last-minute preparations before winter weather arrives by early morning. Moderate to heavy snow is expected across northern Arkansas and areas just outside Memphis, eventually pushing toward Nashville by Saturday morning. While this initial round of snowfall will cause disruptions, it is not expected to be the most intense phase of the event. This storm is a multi-stage system. The first phase affects parts of the mid-Atlantic and East Coast during the day Saturday. The second phase, developing behind it, is expected to intensify rapidly Saturday night into Sunday. That secondary system has the potential to produce much heavier snowfall, widespread freezing rain, and significant sleet accumulation. In many ways, what arrives first is only the opening act. The system that follows could deliver snowfall totals 2 times higher than the initial wave, with much stronger precipitation rates and more severe impacts. This is a complex and evolving winter storm, and conditions are expected to change quickly as it continues to develop. As we move into Saturday afternoon, the core of this winter storm continues shifting east. Snow and freezing rain will overspread areas like Nashville, while Memphis faces a growing threat of heavy freezing rain. Ice storm warnings are likely in and around that region, with ice accumulation potentially exceeding 1 inch. Freezing rain will persist across Little Rock as well. By Saturday daytime, snow will expand into the Ohio Valley. While much of this will be light to moderate, snowfall rates could briefly reach 1.5 to 2 inches per hour. This is the mechanism that begins to dramatically increase snowfall totals in this part of the country. Meanwhile, by Saturday afternoon, snow and ice will rapidly intensify across the mid-Atlantic, where significant ice storm conditions may develop. Behind this initial wave, a broad and increasingly moisture-rich system will take shape. This secondary surge is what raises concern for both major snowfall totals and substantial ice accumulation. In a moment, we'll break down the second phase of the storm in more detail and what it means for snowfall and icing in specific locations. Before doing that, however, we need to briefly pause for today's sponsor. Some days, it's not just the weather that feels overwhelming. Keeping track of rapidly changing conditions while managing everyday responsibilities can make it easy to overlook what's happening mentally as well. And just like the atmosphere, meaningful change doesn't usually happen all at once. It develops through consistent patterns over time. That realization led me to step back and seek guidance from someone who could help me better understand myself. That's why today's video is sponsored by BetterHelp. BetterHelp makes therapy more accessible by removing many of the barriers that prevent people from taking the first step. After completing a short questionnaire, you can be matched within days with a licensed therapist who fits your needs and preferences. And if the match isn't right, switching therapists comes at no extra cost. With over 6 million users, BetterHelp offers a way to strengthen your mental foundation one session at a time, so you're better equipped when life becomes intense. If focusing on mental health has been on your mind this year, this can be a solid place to begin. You can visit the link in the description or go directly to betterhelp.com to receive a discount on your first month. Now let's return to the forecast. Looking ahead to Saturday night and early Sunday morning, the storm becomes increasingly complex. Snow will continue across the Ohio Valley and push into Virginia and North Carolina, while freezing rain and sleet persist across Tennessee and parts of Arkansas. Farther east, freezing rain will spread across the Carolinas, including areas near Greenville, South Carolina, and toward Charlotte. This new band of precipitation develops behind the initial wave. Between the two systems, there may be a temporary reduction in moisture, with only lighter snow, freezing rain, or sleet occurring. However, this gap will be short-lived. By Saturday night, freezing rain rapidly expands and the system consolidates into one large unified winter storm. Widespread freezing rain will extend across the Carolinas, Kentucky, portions of North Texas, and along much of the Mississippi River Valley. At the same time, a broad swath of snow intensifies as Arctic air surges south from Canada. With cold air deepening and a strong influx of Pacific moisture, snowfall rates increase significantly. By Saturday night, this second phase of the storm is expected to produce much heavier accumulation than the initial round, with snowfall totals potentially doubling what was seen earlier in the mid-Atlantic. The reason this system is producing such extreme snowfall is due to dramatically higher snow-to-liquid ratios. In simple terms, much more snow is falling for every unit of moisture in the atmosphere. Because of that, areas across Texas and Oklahoma are expected to see significantly heavier snow Saturday night into early Sunday. As we move later into Sunday morning, freezing rain, sleet, and heavy snow will continue in a broad zone stretching from Oklahoma through the Ohio Valley and into parts of the Northeast. The most dangerous freezing rain will remain concentrated where ice storm warnings are already in effect. Those darker shaded areas indicate where ice accumulation could become substantial very quickly, increasing the risk of widespread power outages. This includes regions along the Mississippi River Valley, especially areas just north of Vicksburg extending toward Memphis. Little Rock will also remain under freezing rain. In North Texas, there may be a brief transition to snow early Sunday, but accumulations there will be limited compared to areas farther north. Totals may only reach 1 to 2 inches, far less than what Missouri and Illinois are likely to see. By later Sunday morning, the core of the winter storm will begin exiting Texas and Oklahoma. While some light snow flurries or freezing drizzle may linger, especially behind the Arctic front, conditions will gradually improve. Even in areas like Houston, where precipitation appears minimal, any rainfall that does occur may freeze quickly once colder air moves in, leading to icy road conditions along parts of the Gulf Coast. Freezing rain will persist across the Ohio Valley and the Tennessee Valley. By around midday Sunday, heavy snow will be ongoing across much of the Ohio Valley, while parts of the Northeast begin to see rapidly intensifying snowfall. Areas including Long Island, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and New York could experience snowfall rates approaching 3 inches per hour. With rates that high, snowfall totals could quickly exceed 1 foot in some locations. Meanwhile, freezing rain continues across portions of Tennessee, the Carolinas, and into the Atlanta area. Icing is likely in and around Atlanta through Saturday and Sunday. As Sunday afternoon progresses, the heaviest snow shifts farther into the Northeast. Snow will gradually taper in Ohio, but intense snowfall will persist across Pennsylvania and southern New England. A narrow zone of sleet will develop between areas of snow and freezing rain, particularly near Long Island by early Sunday evening. Freezing rain will continue along the Appalachian region through the Carolinas. Farther south, heavy rain will dominate the southeast, with a risk of severe weather including isolated damaging winds and a possible tornado threat across parts of Georgia and Florida. By late Sunday night into early Monday, most of the snow will have exited the United States. What remains will be lighter snowfall across New England. Some freezing rain may linger near Boston, Connecticut, and Rhode Island, potentially affecting areas such as Cape Cod into Monday. When looking at total snowfall accumulation, this storm has the potential to become historic for many regions. In fact, parts of this forecast may still be conservative. Based on current projections over the next 3 to 4 days, northern Oklahoma and southeast Kansas stand out as areas with a higher likelihood of exceeding 1 foot of snow. Locations such as Tulsa, Enid, and areas near Wichita could see totals in the range of 12 to 15 inches. Looking at another zone of heavy snowfall stretching from southern New Hampshire and Vermont southwestward into Kentucky, near Louisville and Cincinnati, snowfall totals here are expected to reach at least 12 to 15 inches. However, farther east into Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Long Island, and southern New England, there is a real possibility that some locations could exceed 18 inches of snow. You'll notice there is no official outline yet for snowfall above 18 inches. That's simply because confidence is not quite high enough at this point to formally designate those areas. Still, there is a legitimate scenario where parts of Long Island could approach 2 feet of snow, which would firmly place this storm into historic territory. Events like this have become increasingly rare in the Northeast. Major winter storms of this magnitude have not been common in recent years, which is why this system stands out as a potentially significant snow event for New England. Elsewhere, snowfall amounts drop off considerably. In places like Nashville, accumulations may range from 1 to 4 inches. The Dallas-Fort Worth area may only see around 1 to 4 inches as well. Near Fort Smith, totals could approach the 8 to 10 inch range. Little Rock may end up closer to 5 to 6 inches. St. Louis likely lands on the lower end of the 8 to 12 inch range, potentially closer to 6 or 7 inches. Farther north, toward Chicago and Detroit, snowfall will be on the fringe, likely only 1 to 2 inches, with no major impacts expected there. This remains a forecast, and we'll look at the actual model guidance shortly to better refine totals for specific locations. But overall, this represents the general expectation. Some may welcome the snow, others may not, but for those who enjoy winter weather, the northern regions will be the place to be this weekend. Focusing again on Texas, snowfall around Dallas-Fort Worth remains limited. Farther north toward Chicago, there is a better chance of a few inches, with totals likely in the 1 to 3 inch range. However, across much of northern Oklahoma and southern Kansas, snowfall becomes much more significant. Some isolated locations along the state line could see totals approaching 18 inches. Moving back through Kentucky and along the East Coast is where this forecast becomes especially compelling. Parts of New England could see snowfall totals exceeding 20 inches as the weekend unfolds. This will require extensive snow removal efforts, and conditions will deteriorate rapidly as snowfall intensifies. Despite the impressive snow totals, ice remains the most serious threat associated with this storm. Widespread ice accumulation of 1/4 to 1/2 inch is expected across a broad region, including Dallas, Fort Worth, Waco, southern Arkansas, Little Rock, Memphis, Nashville, and much of Kentucky. Not all areas will experience full ice storm conditions, but even 1/4 inch of ice is enough to weigh down power lines and cause prolonged outages. In areas closer to the Mississippi River, where ice accumulation could exceed 1 inch, power outages could last for several days or even longer. Along the East Coast, significant ice accumulation is also expected, particularly across Virginia, North Carolina, and South Carolina. In New Jersey and Long Island, ice totals may remain closer to 1/10 of an inch. Meanwhile, areas around Washington, D.C. could see closer to 1/4 inch, with parts of Delaware and New Jersey included as well. Western Virginia near Roanoke and parts of western North Carolina just west of Charlotte are also expected to experience notable icing. These impacts are especially concerning given that many of these same regions were affected by major storm damage just a couple of years ago. With the current forecast, prolonged power outages remain a real possibility in these areas. When it comes to power outages, the greatest risk extends from the Dallas-Fort Worth area through Memphis and Nashville, where widespread outages are possible this weekend. A similar threat exists across the Carolinas near the Appalachian Mountains and east of Atlanta. Preparations should be made now for the likelihood of extended outages. As always, thank you for following today's forecast. Coverage will continue throughout the weekend with frequent updates and live reporting as this storm unfolds. Stay alert, stay prepared, and check back often for the latest developments.